And welcome to Hannity. And breaking tonight's shocking new body cam video from the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, as the head of the Secret Service has finally tendered her resignation. We have a lot more coming up in just a moment. But tonight, we have good news to report. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, is definitely alive, pictured here, walking to Air Force One. He didn't even have to be surrounded. It looked like he might have used the big boy stairs and everything earlier this morning, but for days, the president was nowhere to be seen or heard except on X, causing rumors and speculation, not on this program, to run wild. Now, Biden didn't even publicly announce his decision to drop out of the 2024 race or his decision to endorse Kamala Harris. So there were no videos, no pictures, nothing. Just a brief statement on X. I guess that's the way we now communicate with each other. Anyway, the White House said that Biden was under the weather. He had COVID. Apparently, he's feeling better. I'm glad to hear it. According to reports, Biden spent the weekend fuming at the elites in his own party. Now, apparently, according to the New York Post, other sources, Joe's decision to drop out was, in fact, coerced. One top Democrat telling Politico, quote, Nancy Pelosi made it very clear that Biden could do it the easy way or the hard way. Sounds like the mop. Anyway, he continued, quote, she gave his 3 weeks of the easy way. It was about to be the hard way. There is even speculation that Pelosi and others were threatening to trigger the 25th Amendment and remove Biden from office if he did not comply to the elites in his party. And so much for Pelosi's lie on MSDNC. She supports whatever decision he makes. Make no mistake, this was a coup inside the Democratic Party. The millions of primary votes around the country for Joe Biden have been flushed down the toilet, rendered meaningless, completely disenfranchised by Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, other D.C., Hollywood, big donor elites, these same Democratic overlords then unilaterally selected Joe's replacement, and that's Kamala Harris, at least as of tonight. Now, tonight also, the Democratic Party, you need to understand what's happening here. This is Kamala's honeymoon period. She is experiencing a sugar high, a feeling of relief and enthusiasm that the guy that can't walk and talk, that's dazed and confused, the guy that mumbles and bumbles and stumbles, oh, thank God it's not him. It's a honeymoon. It's a sugar high. But mark my words, it will be short-lived. Coming up, we're going to start the process of reintroducing you to the real Kamala Harris. We will, as usual, do the state-run media mob's job. We will vet the new presidential candidate. We will do it thoroughly, while so-called journalists, they will be swooning over their new presidential candidate while they cheer and they applaud. We'll actually tell you the full truth about the now soon-to-be Democratic nominee. This is, let me put it this way, the most radical vice president, soon-to-be presidential candidate in history. We will point out her radical positions on Israel. She won't be meeting Prime Minister Netanyahu on Wednesday. We'll expose her support for far-left violent rioting and insurrection and her attempts to completely upend law and order in this country. We will review her love of socialism, her love of the Green New Deal she co-sponsored, her love of single-payer health care, her love of an 80% tax rate that she said would be fantastic. And we'll also even discuss her past support for Jussie Smollett. Remember that case? Kamala referred affectionately to that case as a victim of a modern-day lynching. But first, here's Chuck Schumer offering his very, very late but enthusiastic support for his party's brand-new nominee. Take a look.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to. It's a happy day. What can I say? Vice President Harris will beat Donald Trump and become the next president of the United States of America. Applause. Hakeem.
Wow, the enthusiasm is through the roof. and not fake at all. And by the way, did Chuck Schumer say that the process played out from the grassroots bottom up? Chucky, Kamala did not get a single primary vote, not one. She was picked by party elites, people like yourself, Chuck, without any input, zero input, no consideration at all for the voters. You throw these, you literally help throw those votes in the garbage. People went to the polls for no reason at all. My humble advice to the democracy-loving Democrats, it might be a good idea to consult with the people in your party before making such a big decision. Well, as of now, Kamala is now polling even worse than Joe Biden. Recent Harris polls has Trump beating Harris by 9 points nationwide, and a preliminary result from a brand new Rasmussen poll has Trump up by a whopping 13. Another poll has Trump up by 2. That's not all. The New York Times put together a list of 10 Democrats. The New York Times, they ranked their chances of beating Donald Trump in the fall, and they ranked Kamala Harris dead last. One columnist for the Times referred to Harris as, quote, a mediocre politician from a deep blue state with low national approval ratings. And one of the key reasons for Kamala's historically low approval, surrounds her role in the Biden administration. So let's be clear off the top here. Kamala Harris owns every single one of the Biden-Harris policy failure, all of them. But it's especially true at the southern border, because in 2021, Kamala was appointed, quote, border czar, and from the outset, she pledged to address the root causes of illegal immigration and put an end to the crisis. That's what she said. And by the way, Kamala did next to nothing. The border crisis exploded. It has become the single biggest national security threat in our lifetime. Look at your screen. Illegal immigration is now 10 times worse under Kamala's, quote, so-called leadership. More unvetted Joe Biden, Kamala Harris illegal immigrants have poured across this border than the entire population of New York City. There are 40 U.S. states with a smaller population than the influx of illegals under Biden and Harris. The cost to all of you, every taxpayer, is astronomical. The risk of terrorism and crime is unthinkable. It's never been higher, according to Director Wray of the FBI. Murders, rapes have occurred as a result of their open borders. The odds of a 9/11 terror attack, again, in the words of Director Wray, have never been greater. Joe and Kamala, let me be very, very clear. Kamala, like Joe, you have blood on your hands. And yet for a while, Kamala couldn't even be bothered to visit the border. You might recall. Take a look.
The notion that the border is closed. Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in?
Well, Lester, here's the thing. I've been working on this issue for a very long time.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
Now, ultimately, the border czar was shamed into making a quick stop in El Paso, but far away from the epicenter where the real crisis was happening. Now, that was her first and only visit to the border. And a year later, in 2022, she told Chucky Todd that the border was secure. She lied, flat out lied, just like she lied about Joe Biden being so cognitively sharp and so aware and so on his game. That was a lie, too. Take a look.
Would you call the border secure?
I think that there is no question that we have to do what the president and I asked Congress to do. Is the first request we made. Pass a bill to create a pathway to citizenship. The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system.
We're going to have 2 million people cross this border for the first time ever. You're confident this border is secure?
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration. But there are still a lot of problems that we are trying to fix.
We have a secure border is a lie. That wasn't the only blatant lie that Kamala told about the border. Here's your border czar smearing Border Patrol. Remember when she falsely accused them of whipping migrants? Another lie. Take a look.
I've been very clear about the images that you and I both saw of those law enforcement officials on horses. I was outraged by it. It was horrible and deeply troubling. Human beings should not be treated that way, and as we all know, it also evoked images of some of the worst moments of our history, where that kind of behavior has been used against the indigenous people of our country, has been used against African Americans during times of slavery.
All right, this was a complete hoax and lie. The images in question featured Border Patrol agents on horseback using reins to control their horses. Kamala didn't care. She is always, ready to defame those who keep our country safe. Now, here's a flashback to her time in the U.S. Senate when she compared ICE officials to the KKK. Take a look at this.
The Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why? Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
Because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and force?
It was based on race and ethnicity.
Right. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception
that puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
And while Kamala's out there trashing the American people, she is more than generous with your tax money. Take a look.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
How many of you actually knew that she supported free health care for illegal immigrants? Just maybe illegal immigrants are pouring across the border because Kamala is offering them a free ride at your expense. And as we speak, a massive multi-thousand-person caravan, they're headed right now to your southern border. Apparently, they're trying to make their way across while Joe and Kamala are still in power. So the question tonight, what will your border czar do? Will she finally address the root causes of illegal immigration? Will she send the caravan back home or give them free health care and education and give them free four-star hotels in New York City? Or will she allow them all easy access into the country and give them the right to vote? Will she even mention this crisis in the coming days and weeks? Don't count on it. Don't count on the media to ask her either. Tonight, Vice President Harris, well, earlier today, she was in Texas, but she just couldn't be bothered to pay a visit to the border. Now, tonight, coming up, we're going to examine Kamala's record on Israel. It's not good. Anti-Semitism, not good. Law and order, not good. The Jussie Smollett hoax, and much, much more. And why won't she be showing up when the Prime Minister of Israel, our closest ally, shows up here on Wednesday for a speech before a joint session of Congress? Why not, Kamala? Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.